everybody, and welcome back to Flock's Nest Sports Podcast. As always, I'm one of your hosts, Dallas Reppin 52 of the Baltimore Ravens, Ray Lewis.
As always, in the I have Brendan Rippin 54, Bobby Wagner of the Seattle Seahawks.
We got a great episode for you guys today. We are going to talk some hockey and basketball, just as they will be getting skipped next week with the NFL draft. We are this week going to run through Brendan and I's pre-draft assumptions, friendly or mock draft. Friendly reminder, we do not account for any trades. We're just going to do a straight pick player team and go from there. And as always, we will talk the Ravens and Seahawks offseason so far. The Ravens had some pretty exciting things going on, so we're going to talk about all of that.
Seahawks, not so much.
Well, that's okay. I would prefer a quieter offseason. So we're going to jump right in, starting with some basketball, I believe.
Yeah, so the NBA, it has pseudo started their playoffs. The play-in is currently going on. There's some games happening, I think, as we speak right now for us, so that's kind of cool. But we are waiting on the full bracket to come out. As it stands now, in the West, it's going to look like the Thunder versus the winner of the Suns Warriors as that matchup. Lakers Rockets, Nuggets Timberwolves, and then Spurs Trailblazers. In the East, we're looking at Pistons winner of Magic and the Hornets, the Cleveland Cavaliers and the Toronto Raptors, New York Knicks, Atlanta Hawks, and then Boston Celtics, and then Philadelphia 76ers. So some good matchups. Still kind of waiting on the play-ins. Currently, the one game that's going on right now is Charlotte and Orlando, the Hornet and the Magic, and that game just started. It is still 0-0. So,
and the Warriors and the Suns kick off in a couple of hours.
Yes.
Tip off, whatever.
Same thing. So yeah, we're still kind of waiting on the finalized of the bracket. But so far, has been kind of interesting. The play-in was very good early. Those games were pretty fun. I think the best one was the Warriors Clippers and the Hornets Heat. That was a great game. Went to overtime.
1 point difference. That was wild.
Went to overtime.
Wild.
Great game. So shout out to those. But yeah, that's where we're at with the NBA. We'll talk much more about that in like 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Once the draft's over and once it becomes the primary focus with the playoffs happening. So should be good.
Should be good. Yeah, like you said, play-in is definitely interesting. I do consider it kind of the start of NBA playoffs. It is win or go home, but we are still waiting on the final bracket. With a couple games going tonight, we will have the answer to that then. And then, like Brendan said, in a couple weeks, we'll talk more about them. But it's been good so far. Kind of waiting to see some of the better teams in the playoffs. That's when really good basketball starts to take off. And excited for that.
Yeah. That's pretty much it for basketball right now.
Nice. Then we will move on to hockey, whose bracket is set.
Yes, so the end of the regular season for hockey was, I believe, yesterday. So we are getting started. In the Western Conference, currently it's looking like the Avalanche and the Kings, the Stars and the Wild, the Vegas Golden Knights and the Utah Mammoth, the Edmonton Oilers, and the Anaheim Ducks. In the East, it's going to be the Buffalo Sabres and the Boston Bruins, the Tampa Bay Lightning and Montreal Canadiens, the Carolina Hurricanes and the Ottawa Senators, and then the Pittsburgh Penguins and the Philadelphia Flyers. So, the first series start tomorrow, which is Saturday. So we get playoff hockey this weekend. Should be really good. Really looking forward to that.
Yeah, it's been a great season, so definitely looking forward to the postseason. and great hockey, the playoffs are always kind of the best time for this sport. Much like the NBA, if you don't know, they do run 7-game series throughout the entire thing.
Yes.
So it is kind of a long endeavor, but it's a great sport to get into right now. The physicality, the play level, everything is elevated. This is a great time. So
Yes. But
definitely excited.
playoff hockey is on the way, so should be good.
Hell yeah. Alrighty. Well, moving on. We will move into the NFL. We will do our draft last. So we will start with any breaking news, then do our teams, and then the draft.
So we'll start. First of which was a trade. The Green Bay Packers and the Philadelphia Eagles have made a trade in which Green Bay is sending wide receiver Dontavion Wicks to the Eagles in exchange for a 2026 fifth-round pick and a 2027 sixth-round pick. So, Wicks, solid wide receiver. I do think this kind of move does lead me to believe A.J. Brown probably not long for being an Eagle. We'll see. But
I would be so confused.
an
I'm gonna be
interesting
honest with you.
trade nonetheless. For Green Bay, their wide receiver room just has so many people that it kind of makes sense to get a couple picks, lighten that room a little bit. So should kind of work out for both. And then again, we'll kind of see what this means for AJ Brown and where he goes next, and what the plan
There
is
is
there.
such a thing as too much depth in the room, and that is definitely what the Packers are struggling with. So, makes sense, and I agree that to me this says more. It's more evidence that AJ Brown is on the way out.
Yes. And then the next bit of news was the Falcons have picked up Bijan Robinson's fifth-year option. There's not really any surprise to that. It's just this is like the first time they could announce that, and they did.
Yep.
That's where we are right now. We are in the point where breaking news is giving options out.
Kind of light work. I think the only thing is if you're kind of wondering why option, not new contract, there have been complaints within and outside of the organization about Bijan Robinson's usage, as well as potentially work ethic. So with a new coach, new management, a lot of new things going on, they want to see what another year or two will give them
And he's a
before
running
they
back.
commit. Before they commit to a contract.
And
So
he's a
this
running
does make
back.
sense.
They
So
already don't want to commit to contracts, so yeah, that's why.
yeah,
And then we got a couple more pieces of breaking news. First of which is Will Anderson of the Houston Texans has signed a 3-year, $150 million extension. He is now the highest paid non-quarterback in the NFL. That is a $50 million AAV deal with $134 million guaranteed. So, big payday for Will Anderson. Obviously, very deserving. One of the best young defensive ends in the NFL. So,
he's played really well. I think he's been worth every penny, every trade value. They definitely got for him, but hopefully it will pay off in the long run for this franchise as well.
yes. And then the last bit of breaking news is another trade, and it's a rare player-for-player trade. And it is the Falcons are sending defensive tackle Rook Orororo to the Jacksonville Jaguars in exchange for Mason Smith. So both of them are defensive tackles. So it's a rare player-for-player of the same position trade.
That is fit based.
Yes.
I would bet.
I think they're both out of the same draft class, if I remember correctly. So it's we think we want to give this guy a change of scenery, and we think that will help his development. Yeah. And that is what we're seeing here. Kind of an interesting trade. We'll kind of see what happens. There's not a whole ton to talk about it. It's just two players changing hands. Neither of them have been overly productive in their time in the NFL, so we'll kind of see if these new teams can figure it out for them.
Yeah, makes sense. Sometimes they're a good player with potential. You just haven't been able to unlock it. Chemistry, a lot of those things go into it. So this allows both teams still have a young player kind of on their roster, just trying a different fit.
Yes. So I think it'll work out hopefully it works out pretty well.
Sounds good. Well, then we will get into both of our teams. Starting, as always, with the Ravens. So we're going to do kind of the big news first. We're doing just a little out of order, just a smidgen. The Ravens did a complete overhaul of their uniforms, which they announced a change about a week ago, that they were having something coming down the pipeline. Like I think many of us, I thought it was going to be an adjustment to the Purple Rising jersey or helmet, and then they kind of implied that it was a complete new collection, new closet, as they put it. So that was really exciting. They did a massive launch party for it. As we know, the Ravens media team put out some great stuff for it, and then we finally got to see the whole collection. So I am just going to talk about that briefly. I love all of it. I have one smidgen complaint, but we'll get to that. It's not so drastically different that you're wondering what the fuck.
I almost texted you to be like, what changed? I was like, dude, this looks the exact same as their other uniforms. And then they went into detail on like what, and I was like,
yeah,
it's a little different.
If you didn't know, right, like if you're a passive football fan or you're a fan of a different team, you watch that video. I had multiple people that are friends with me, they know I'm a Ravens fan, go, I don't see a fucking difference. I'm like, okay, I can see the differences, but that's fine. And then there were some you wouldn't have seen unless you watched the deep dive videos. You went looking on their Instagram and their Twitters, their X, all of those things. So we're going to get into some of them and their significance, because every change is detail-oriented and it means something, and I think that was really impactful. It's not a suddenly we just have bright purple jerseys, and we're confused about who they are. They still look like the Ravens. And I think that was the most important part for me. So to start, one, I did not know this. They started this bid in 2022. They filled out the paperwork requesting permission from the league to look into an entirely new closet in 2022. They ended up tabling a lot of the designs they had liked, but out of it we got the Purple Rising helmet. That's where that started. As the years went on, and their collaboration with Nike kept going, they were finally able to kind of finalize their decisions, figure out the things they liked, what they didn't like, leading to this new set. No, it had nothing to do with the coaching change. Like, I think it works out kind of perfectly. We're at the 30 years of Ravens football. We have a new coaching change. We're showing that we're respecting the tradition, but we are in a new era of Ravens football. It just kind of worked out that way, but was not intentional. Some of the things they added, all of the collars now have feathering on them, which is to mimic their original logo, which was the full raven with the wings. Every jersey type has writing on the inside of the neck. Their base jerseys, the white and the purple, have Play Like a Raven in them. The Purple Rising has Purple Rising written on it. And the dark uniforms have Darkness There and Nothing More, which is an Edgar Allan Poe quote, which is really cool. I'm a big fan. The patch, you see mine?
Yep.
Is now, instead of sewn in and part of the jersey, it's an external patch with a gloss and a shine on them. So it's a physical thing that you can see and kind of pluck at. It just gives it a little pop, a little extra. The other thing, so mine, it says Ravens on it. For the first time ever, on the white jerseys, it says Baltimore. Trying to pay respect to the city. The pant legs now have instead of a single stripe, they have the talon stripe that is offset, and that is mirrored by the Maryland flag. That's how theirs is set. It's an offset stripe. So that's really cool. They also use an iridescent purple for everything. They call it a midnight purple. So it shines. You kind of see a different shade based off the lighting. I'm sure that was very difficult to accomplish, but it looks really fucking cool. So that's really great. The other thing they changed, and the biggest one that I noticed, is their Purple Rising uniform is darker, along with the helmet. Big fan of that. Big fan. Did not like the faded purple. And we also did away with the mustard pants. Also,
which
big fan of that.
Yeah, that was.
Yeah. I like the full purple. It's a little deeper. They still have that matte purple helmet, but it's a little deeper. On the purple helmet, they did away with the alternate logo. And by putting their traditional logo on it, they can now use that helmet with other combinations. It's not locked into the Purple Rising. And if you saw the purple helmet with the white jersey, that looked really cool. Gives them a few more options there. They do still have their traditional helmet, as well as their kind of traditional purple and white. They've just added those features, like the patch and the feathering, the writing, the stripes. The one that's truly overhauled is kind of their Midnight collection, their Darkness Rises set. The all black comes with a brand new matte black helmet that now has the alternative front-facing logo on it. So that makes that helmet locked into that uniform. It cannot be worn with anything else. They fixed, I think they watch our podcast, they fixed the thing that Brennan and I complained about, and they did what we suggested, was if you're going to use that front-facing logo, at least give it the red eyes. And that is what they did. I prefer the traditional logo, but if you're going to use the front-facing one, at least have the red eyes. So they did do that, which I'm a fan of. They added purple trim into the collar and the shoulders for that one. They also did away with a big change. They did away with the purple or the gold trim on all of the uniforms. The little detail I didn't like was the white numbers on the black jerseys. The black used to be black with purple numbers, and then it was a gold trim around them, so you could see it, readability, especially in practice, when quarterbacks are wearing the black jerseys. I love the deep, dark offset. I think it especially fits the mood of the Darkness Rises evening, all of it. So I don't love kind of the bright white on top of it, but that's the only small thing that I'm not the biggest fan of. The rest of it, I think they did a really great job. I know it's not very drastic, but the Ravens so rarely change their uniforms. They so rarely make additions. So to have a complete overhaul that adds a level of toughness, adds an attention to detail that we haven't seen before in this closet, I think is fantastic. I think it gave respect to tradition as well as kind of embracing the new things that can be done with uniforms, especially as the league expands on how many you can have, how many combinations you can have, and things like that. So, with it all said and done, the Ravens now have 3 helmets and 4 uniforms. They do still have their white with the changes, their traditional purple, the all black, and their purple rising. So, I think it's a great set. I'm excited to see what games they use which uniforms. Always excited for the Darkness Rises night, or the Darkness Falls night. I'm always excited for Purple Rising. Now just kind of want the schedule. So, great things to look forward to. Now to get into more present day conversation. Obviously, the draft is coming. We're doing our mock draft. We are live streaming the draft next week. EDC had his traditional pre-draft press conference. Biggest takeaway was what he thought draft needs were going to be. O-line, D-line, and tight end. And that makes sense when the only tight ends on the roster are Mark Andrews and Smythe. So
I kind of forgot that they lost all their tight ends.
Yeah. So, and we have no fullback. Whether or not we will draft one, I don't know. But I appreciate and respect that we know we need in the trenches. And no, we don't necessarily need a wide receiver. We do need some extra blocking help, especially as we rebuild the O-line for the 4 billionth fucking time. So, should be good there. Will help as I evaluate the draft and how I think they do on draft night. Final piece of news. Zay Flowers was on a podcast, I think yesterday, and talked about how the injuries to the Baltimore Ravens the last couple years are probably John Harbaugh's fault. That the practices, especially towards the end of the season, are very intense. That every padded practice you can have, they do have. They do fully tackle in all practices. And the physicality that it takes on the players, especially on week 17 heading into the playoffs, is probably detrimental to their bodies. We have seen over the last couple years a high number of injuries in the Ravens franchise. I don't know that it's solely that. I'm not sure that it helps. The other people he was doing the podcast with seemed just as surprised at the things he was saying. They seemed to think that was unrealistic as well. So I'm going to trust in their judgment. I guess it is also one of the first things he asked Jesse Minter is how will practices look? And he and Minter had a long conversation about it, and Zay Flowers came out of that conversation excited. This is the only thing I'll say. If it keeps players healthy, great. Also need to be prepared for game day. The physicality and the energy need to be there. So, hopefully you can find a way to have both. But I'm not so sure. So we will see. I'm not going to write anything off. I'm excited to see what Mentor and his new staff will do. But hearing we're going to have lighter practices does not give me a ton of faith. We shall see.
There's a difference between light practices and insane practices.
Yeah. And so I'm worried we're going to tip the scale too far. I just don't want us to overcorrect.
And that's fair.
We don't need insanity where they're running fully padded hitting the crap out of each other every day of the week that you can, and then going into game day exhausted, beat up. That's too much, probably. It's too much. Don't overcorrect. And now we're not ready on game day. So, I know other players since the start of off-season workout have been excited about the changes and the direction everyone seems to be headed in. Kyle Hamilton has kind of become the voice of the defense, and he seems to be very excited with Minter and his plan moving forward. Many of the offensive players have been just as excited, so I'm hoping that means good things, but none of it matters because football is not played on paper. So we shall see.
That is a good point.
That for now does do it for the Ravens. Not that I don't get commission or anything, but if you do like their jerseys and stuff, I do know they went on sale, I believe, today. So you can access the new collection on their website, and I assume the NFL Shop's website. So
I would assume.
Support the Ravens. I will be getting mine as soon as possible, and as soon as I vet a player appropriately, because the last jersey I bought, it didn't go so well. So,
that is,
we're going to figure out what we're going to do there, and see about getting a new one of the set.
Nice. Well, in terms of Seahawks news, it's very minimal. So we're going to get through this real quick. You ready?
Okay.
Here's the news. The Seahawks have held a visit for defensive end Dante Fowler. He has familiarity with Adam Durde, the defensive line and defensive coordinator for the Seahawks. They were together in Dallas and Atlanta. And the last thing I saw was that it's about a 90% chance he signs with the Seahawks after the draft. So, there you go. Okay. That's the Seahawks news. John Schneider does not tend to do a pre-draft press conference. Instead, he has a show that he does on the radio. But really, he has been not very forthcoming this year about what they plan on doing in the draft. So, I don't have a ton of news in that regard. It's just going to be a wait and see. I will be as surprised as everybody else with what they decide to do come draft night, because I have zero idea what the plan is.
That's fair.
In years prior, I at least have some idea. This year, I throw a dart at a dartboard and you might find it. I have no idea. So.
Well, that's fun. Alrighty. Well, sounds like that does it for us. So we will now begin our mock draft.
Yeah.
Alrighty. Well, welcome to Flock's Nest Sports Podcast official pre-draft mock draft. This is our one and only friendly reminder: no trades. Pick one, team one, player. We're moving on.
Yes. Unfortunately, we're going to have to use the PFF mock draft simulator. For those of you that don't know, PFF has pretty much kind of screwed themselves. They just laid off a whole bunch of their people as they just sold to somebody. I don't even know. But it is the only mock draft simulator that still kind of works without a shit ton of pop-up ads. So we're just going to use this one. Next year, we'll find a different one.
Sounds good.
But for this year,
we will use PFFs, and hopefully it'll hold up for us.
Yes. And then to get started, do you want odds or evens? And it doesn't matter what you say because both of our teams pick an even number.
Yeah.
So we're gonna have to switch one pick anyway.
I will take odds. Okay.
All right. Then you get the number 1 overall pick, and it'll be really challenging. Real tough
Yeah, I
pick
know.
here. Real
So on the
tough.
clock is the Las Vegas Raiders. I very much believe that even if we were doing trades, that wouldn't be necessary. They're going to take Fernando Mendoza out of Indiana at quarterback.
Yeah, this is the most obvious pick in this entire draft, and it's not even close. It is going to be happen.
No.
Um, I've never had a. I feel like we haven't had a draft where the number 1 overall pick was decided like 3 months prior to the draft, because that's what it felt like. It was
I
Fernando
think,
Mendoza and nothing else. There was no option. There was no trade. There was no nothing. It
yeah.
was Fernando Mendoza.
I think the last time we genuinely saw it, because I think even Caleb Williams, there were questions
On
about
if
whether
they
or not the
trade
Bears were
him
going to
or
trade him. I think the last time truly that we saw this was Trevor Lawrence.
I think you're right. And even
I
then, I
think
think
Trevor Lawrence was going to Jacksonville. There was no questions. Everybody knew it. We moved
yeah,
on.
I think you're right. I think that was the obvious one. But yeah, so Fernando Mendoza, number 1 overall. The New York Jets are now on the clock, and God help them because this team is
One pick. It's
rough.
honestly, we're not doing it, but trade down. Fuck it.
Yeah,
We need help.
especially because there's just not a quarterback this year.
No.
Um, I've seen a lot of things. This one's hard. I would take Arvel Reese if you think he's an edge player, which he can do. And a lot of people think he can be almost the, I don't want to say next Micah Parsons because that's kind of tough, but that kind
Yeah.
of player where he started his career at off ball linebacker, but transitioned to edge rusher. Um, I don't think they're going to do that. I think if at this pick, number 2 overall, you have to pick someone that is clearly defined. And then for me, I would pick Ruben Bain Jr. out of Miami. I think he's the best. I think he's the best true defensive edge. I think he's a great player. He's done really well at Miami. And I think with the number 2 overall pick, you have to go with somebody that is solidified in the position you want them to play. I don't think you can experiment with moving a guy from off-ball linebacker to edge, and I think Reese can do it. I just don't think you can make that risk at number 2 overall.
At number 3, Arizona on the clock. I think they do take that risk at Arvel Reese. With significant questions at quarterback and offensively, without a true quarterback in this draft class, I don't think early resources are going to the offense. Their defense, while is great in coverage, is severely lacking on the front end. Whether you use him as an edge rusher, inside linebacker, you can move him around, and there is a place and a need for him. So I think Arizona does take on that responsibility and figures they will find a home for him no matter what.
And that's a very fair opinion. Next, number 4, the Tennessee Titans. Okay, I'm going to take Jeremiah Love. He is, in my opinion, the best player in the draft. Now,
Okay.
he is a running back, and we all know running back is the most devalued position in the NFL with linebacker and some other ones, but it's pretty much running back. What Jeremiah Love can give you is unlike anything we've seen in a while. He is one of the best running backs we've seen in a long time. He has the breakaway speed. He has the ball carrier vision. He's one of the best running backs we've seen in a while. And I think in a draft, which if you haven't heard, this draft isn't the strongest we've ever seen. So in a draft with not a ton of real blue chip talent, I think for Tennessee, taking one of the few players that is a true blue chip talent, regardless of positional value, makes sense. So I'm going to take Jeremiah Love out of Notre Dame.
Fair enough. Alrighty, at number 5 on the clock, the New York Giants. Can I see the linebackers? Oh, you have it. Okay. Um, I am gonna take Sonny Styles with Dexter Lawrence's contract. Questions up in the air. There has been some drama of recent. If you have watched or followed any of that, they are pretty set offensively. I do think they potentially still need help at O line, but you can get that in later drafts based off what everybody else needs.
Yeah.
They have real defensive questions. And when you consider the weapons they have offensively expected to return, I think that is what they address first.
Fair. All right. At number 6, we have the Cleveland Browns, another team that
Just
they
fucked.
can go kind of different ways. Mawanoa, Francis Mawanoa, the tackle out of Miami, is tempting. For me, it's between Carnell Tate, the wide receiver, and Francis Mawanoa, the tackle. Um, the Browns' offensive line's real bad, and I think Mawanoa can come in and be a starter almost anywhere on that offensive line for at least a year, and then kick out to tackle if they need it. He can start at tackle. He can play guard. I think he just gives them so much versatility on the offensive line that is kind of a struggle now for them. You know what? I'm talking myself into it. I'm going to take Francis Mawanoa, the tackle out of Miami.
And my next team just cussed you out for it. Um, on the
Fair.
clock, the at number 7, the Washington Commanders. Can we see O line, please?
Yes, you can. I think I can. Yeah. Those are kind of the top ones.
Yeah. I think that they're gonna take. I'm not even gonna attempt to pronounce his first name. Loane out of Penn State. The reason I say this is he is designated as a guard. Guards have a
Interesting.
little bit more flexibility in terms of moving around, and the Commanders need an entire O line overhaul. We saw the injuries that Jaden Daniels suffered last year, the amount of running he's had to do, and at his build, you want someone that can start right away and potentially move around, and that's going to be
Interesting.
Loewen. So
Yeah.
we are going to
And
take
then
him out of Penn State.
I actually, for some reason, know how to pronounce his name.
Oh,
It's
who?
Olavenga Ione, I believe.
Ione. Okay. So we're going to take Ione.
Yeah. So interesting. I've never seen that. That's an interesting pick. I don't hate it either. For the Saints, man, I didn't think David Bailey would get here. You know what? I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna take David Bailey, edge rusher out of Texas Tech. Um, the Saints honestly don't have the most glaring needs out there. Like they could use a wide receiver, they could use some D line, they could use some defense. I think Bailey is a great edge rusher, and I think he's gonna go earlier than this. But I do think it's possible he slips to 8, 4, 10. And if he slips to 8, I think the Saints should just kind of sprint that card up. He might not be like completely what they need, but you can never have too many edge rushers. And in this draft, I think you can get a wide receiver a little later. You can get a serviceable defensive lineman a little later. You're not going to find a guy like this on the edge later in the draft. So um, I think the Saints kind of got lucky with him falling to 8 for them, but they'll take it.
Very fair. At number 9, Kansas City Chiefs on the clock. Can I see edge?
Yeah.
I think the Chiefs will take an edge here. This is one of their highest draft picks in a very long time. If they don't trade down for more, I do think they will, if he's available. Akeem Mesidor, they need strong help at edge.
Yeah,
Fast, ready to go, can be inserted into their system with questions on their contract situations as they get older. Uh, as the quarterbacks in the NFL get younger, get faster, more mobile to compete. They need better pass rushing ability, and I think he's going to help them with that kind of right away.
good. He's one of the more he he's an older prospect that makes him so that he is pretty much going to hit the ground and
Yeah.
probably contribute. So,
And the Chiefs do not care about having an old roster, but
no.
whatever.
Um, Bengals at 10. If they're smart, and that is a huge if with the Bengals, okay? They'll take Caleb Downs.
Okay.
He could be one of the best players in this draft. Again, he just plays an undervalued position in safety. But again, when you're the Bengals or some of these teams, just taking the best players is probably the right choice.
Especially on defense.
So I think adding a borderline elite safety will really help this team. And
If
again,
you have the potentially next Kyle Hamilton at number 10, you should take it.
yeah. And if you have, again, I said he could be one of the few blue chip players in this draft. At 10, you take that. And you
Yeah.
just hope you can get the most out of him.
The Miami Dolphins on the clock at number 11.
Needs so much help. I don't even know. Anything you want to look at in particular?
This is the one I'm supremely confident they don't make a pick. Let's see defensive back.
You can also add safeties if you want.
Yeah, let's do that.
This team, I don't even know.
I'm gonna go. I don't know how accurate this is based off just all of their extreme needs. I'm gonna say Manzer out of LSU.
I could
You
see it.
know he can play in a warm climate. You know that his physicality and intensity is not going to drop in Miami Heat. He is someone, cornerbacks tend to translate really well from college to NFL. He's ready to start, ready to go. They lost so many defensive pieces that I'm sure they go defense if they make a pick this early and take the best player available.
The temptation to do that is so real because I think that's what he would do. At 12, the Dallas Cowboys. I'm stuck between a couple here
Okay.
because Carnell Tate is a wide receiver.
Yeah.
And I don't think the Cowboys need a wide receiver.
No.
But this is also Jerry Jones we're talking about. And when
That's
the
fair.
number one wide receiver is on the board at 12, and with Jones thinking jersey sales and marketability, that is really something I think he'd do. And George Pickens is only on a franchise tag. But the smart pick would be to take Dylan Thieneman out of Oregon. Do I do the smart thing or the fun thing?
I think that they will do the fun thing.
I know. You know what? I'm doing the fun thing. I think it's a possibility that if Carnell Tate gets to 12, either the Cowboys don't make this pick or they take him, because I just think Jerry Jones will not be able to help himself on taking the fun thing.
Yeah, that's fair. All right, at number 13, I'm actually doing the next two, so won't that
Yes.
be fun? At number 13, the Los Angeles Rams are on the clock. Let's see. Because that's the one issue with you doing that. The tackle, I think.
D tackle.
Ooh. No, just tackle.
Oh. Tackle. Got it.
I think Spencer Fano makes a lot of sense with Stafford getting older and potentially drafting a quarterback in the next coming rounds.
Yeah.
This makes a lot of sense. You don't know what you're going to get in terms of mobility. You don't want to be rebuilding a new O-line with a rookie quarterback. Yeah.
I don't love that one. I don't love that one. It's more of a
pick?
No, I don't like the fact that the Rams would get better.
Yeah. No, that's fair.
It's a good pick, and you know it's a good pick because I don't like it.
Yeah, I think it's where they go.
Fair. Interesting.
Alrighty. Pick number 14 on the clock, the Baltimore Ravens. Let's see all O-line things.
I was gonna say, I'm just gonna click that. Man, it is slim pickings.
Go down. Is center not on this list?
It is. They're just not very good this year.
Yeah, that's fair.
That'll be something they probably go third, maybe second round. Interesting.
Because I know the number one name that's been floated to them.
You took earlier.
No, he's I think at the bottom of that list.
Who?
Verga.
Who?
Vega.
Oh, I have no idea who you're talking about. I'm gonna be honest.
Come on.
I'll figure it out.
I think he's an O-lineman.
Are you talking about Vega?
Yeah, I said Vega.
Yeah, it's this guy. It's the Ola Vega. They call him Vega.
Oh, okay. So yes, I took him already.
Ione.
Okay.
The problem is a lot of tackles. And
yeah.
I think that's the one thing they don't need.
I need a right tackle.
Which I don't think I think he might be the only right tackle.
Well, not necessarily. I have Voorhees.
I think they might wait till the second round.
I think they'll wait. Let's see linebacker.
Ooh. I have no idea who's going to be here. You know what? I don't know if you'll like this, but I have a suggestion.
Go ahead.
Because I do know you need one. There's a tight end. That's pretty good. Now, this is your team and your pick.
Let's do that.
Okay. I do know.
Because of who's already off the board and what I think is currently available at position value as well as talent, I think they're going to take the best possible at the position they need right now, which is going to be tight end.
Yeah, and it makes a ton of sense. He's really good. Sadiq out of Oregon.
We'll do Sadiq. It puts him in the room with Mark Andrews. He doesn't have to be the number one guy right away. He can
And
block.
he's a decent blocker. I think really what you'll see, I won't say he necessarily is going to catch as many passes as like Isaiah Likely, but he's a really good catcher of the football. I think he kind of fits right in between Mark Andrews and Isaiah Likely in terms of like Andrews is really good at
Catching.
blocking and catching. Likely was pretty good at catching, not great at blocking. I think Sadiq kind of fits right in the middle
Right
of
in there.
that. He's
And
kind
I
of
think that
good at most things, just not great at any one thing in a way.
yeah, and that's okay. I know who he's going to be in the room with. I have a great catching tight end, and I have a great blocking tight end, and to have someone kind of in the middle learning. At 14 with Vega already gone, that's what I'm going to do.
Yeah, with a lot of the good offensive linemen gone at this point, that makes sense.
And as you can see, I did not jerry rig for my team. So
Yes. No, you did not. Buccaneers at 15. What will the
damn, good
Buccaneers
luck.
do? Ooh, that's tempting because they do need that, but he is hurt. Hmm. What's the edge room look like right now? I think we picked the edge board kind of clean. Yeah, I don't like any of these guys this early. Later, sure. I don't love a tackle. What's their tackle situation? I don't think they need a tackle.
Yeah, they could use one.
Could they? What do they have? I'm not gonna. Because they still have worse. I mean, they could use a right tackle. This guy's more of a left tackle. I'm. What's their?
Who do they have at safety right now? They have
It's like I can't remember.
I can't remember anybody's name.
I'm I'm between Thieneman and McCoy because I do think their secondary could use some work.
I would think secondary.
And I'm leaning Thieneman just because McCoy had that injury that he just hasn't played. Like, he did not play this season. I'm, I'm going to go Thieneman. I think McCoy's a better player than
Okay.
Thieneman. But I think Bowles is on the absolute hottest of hot seats, and he needs his first round pick to come in and produce. And I don't think you can rely on a guy that has not played any snaps since 2024.
That's fair.
So I think they won't pick McCoy for that reason, and they'll go Thieneman, who I think is also really good. But
Alrighty, at number 16, the New York Jets. Yeah, who did I pick earlier for them? Who did we pick?
they went edge first.
Okay.
Ooh.
So let's see. You know what? Let's see wide receiver.
I think that makes a ton of sense. Yeah.
Yeah.
With only
We're
one
gonna
off the
take
board.
Makai Lemon.
Yeah.
He's a great route runner. He's fast, great ball catcher, great hands. With kind of their situation right now, I think getting whoever they have at quarterback a little bit more help is a good idea. So, and with taking an edge already, might as well go offense.
Yeah, that's a good one. I like that. Detroit. This one's easy, I think. Yeah. There's no way they don't. I'm just making sure. Yep. All right. This one was pretty easy. They're going Monroe Freeling. This is a Dan Campbell pick. Like,
yeah,
get yourself a good developmental tackle. That's going to be a pain in the ass in the run game. He's just, this is Dan Campbell. That is trenches. Dan Campbell. That's all you need to say.
Fair. That was the only thought I had for the Ravens was maybe. So
I
that's
think
fair.
he's going to be a left tackle only.
Yeah, and that is why I said no. That's why I said no. Because you're not getting Stanley. You're not getting Stanley's position.
Yeah, so your
Um,
development in the 14th overall pick can't sit for a year.
No.
Unless you're...
Alrighty. Number 18, the Vikings on the clock. Let's see. Let's see safeties.
Yeah. I see where this is going.
I'm gonna say Emmanuel.
Yeah. That's me.
They need a strong safety. Someone that can play deep in the secondary as well as in the box. Emmanuel's not great at either one, but he's good at both. And you need a versatile player.
He's going to freaking Flores, who I don't even want to know what that's going to be like. That is...
He develops really well, and Emmanuel has kind of a base, really good talent for either the safety position. And while, yes, I think Vikings need help offensively, they have questions in the air. Flores is going to want to beef up that defense to make sure that they can win the ball game no matter what the offense does.
And I think when looking at their needs, running back, there's not one after Jeremiah Love worth taking in the first round. So you can throw that position out and wait till later in the draft. Center, there is not one worth taking earlier than the second round. And honestly, there probably isn't one that's going to go in the second. It's probably going to be third round. And then defensive line, there's a couple options, but when this guy is staring you in the face, that's
what they need. So, on the clock, the Panthers.
Yeah,
where are you going?
Have no fucking clue. Defensive tackle's tempting. I just think that's early for a primarily nose tackle. I wish I could look at their depth chart. Because, man, wide receiver is kind of tempting.
Yeah, especially since they don't have Thielen anymore.
Yeah. Ooh, that's a good point. Fuck. Okay. Do I think they go Tyson or do I think they go Cooper? I think they go Cooper.
I think so.
You'll learn this. If there's a player with injury concerns, which Jordan Tyson has injury concerns, I steer clear. I'm not a big...
No, and that's valid.
So, I'm going to go Omar Cooper out of Indiana. Really good wide receiver. Again, I think Jordan Tyson might be the better wide receiver, but there are injury concerns, and I tend to steer clear of injury concerns because I do not like taking somebody that's not going to be on the field in the first round. It's just, you can't trust it.
That's fair. Alrighty. Well.
To the Cowboys at 20.
At number 20 on the clock, the Cowboys. They took a wide receiver at 1. Let's see edge. I know we've kind of picked that room clean.
I'll just leave that because it's close enough. There's not a ton there.
Because it's Jerry Jones. Scroll down for me. And they did not get Max Crosby. They didn't go back. Go back up for me. I think they're going to take Folk. I think they're going to get an edge rusher in. I think they have other needs right now, and I think better options. But given their offseason misses, I think with 2 picks in the first round, that's what he's going to do.
Yeah, that's fair. Okay. Pittsburgh at 21. Do they do it? That's the question. Man, he's got that franchise by the balls.
Yeah.
God damn. Dude, I don't know what the Steelers are going to do. Fuck. Because I don't think he's coming back. Man. Do they do that? Or do they go... Oh, they could go Miller. All right. I think that they're going to wait. It's going to get past the draft. We're not going to know if Aaron Rodgers is going to join. They're not going to draft a quarterback and pray Rodgers comes back, and they're going to take Miller. They're going to take Blake Miller to play tackle, which they do need. I do think he's a good tackle. And I just don't, like, it's hard to say they're going to take a quarterback this year when I don't know what Aaron Rodgers is doing, and I know,
Yeah.
but it's, man, yeah, I'm taking Miller. I'm just, when in doubt, take an offensive lineman.
Fair. The Los Angeles Chargers on the clock at 22. Can I see wide receivers?
Yes, you can.
I'm gonna go.
They do still have Keenan Allen, don't they?
Yeah. But don't like any of those. Let's see. No, because all those are gone. What's it look like at safety?
Pretty cleared.
Yep.
None of those are first rounders.
No.
What's a
Donald.
what's a yeah, that's I will admit that is kind of a
I
hard
think
ball.
I think they're gonna go McDonald. I think when you're looking at their needs, best player available, I think they would have preferred to take a wide receiver. But with what's on the board, nothing left, I think, at first round. So they do need D-line help. I think McDonald's someone that can start pretty quickly, and under Harbaugh, that defense is operating pretty quickly with the hope that offensively they're just going to be a lot healthier at the line.
I like the Chargers would be the one team I think could almost take the risk on Tyson, just because they do have a ton of wide receiver depth for this year specifically, because they do still have Keenan Allen, Lad McConkey, and Quentin Johnston.
And I think that's fair. I just don't think that's a first round decision.
Yeah, I don't either. All right, Eagles.
A wide receiver?
I don't think they draft one.
No, God, no. It was a joke.
Oh, okay. I'm like, my bad.
They need to get rid of wide receivers.
I don't love any of the edge available at this point because I don't think they go. Oh, they could. don't think they go Howell. He doesn't really fit. I don't think they go McCoy. Their corner room's pretty good. I don't think they go Allen. They might go Allen just because he's from Georgia. But they're You know what? Yeah, this is what they do. They take Caden Proctor, offensive tackle, Alabama, because you don't have to start him right away. You can either play him at a guard position or just let him sit and develop, because Lane Johnson does not have much time left. Like, he's probably going to retire in the next couple seasons. So I think you take a developmental tackle that can come in and replace him if needed. And I think that makes a ton more sense.
Fair.
Cool.
Oh my God, the Browns on the clock at 23.
I had them take a tackle.
I think so. I think they take O-line.
I already had them take one at 6.
Oh, that's right. That's right. Honestly, I think they take Tyson. A young player. Yes, I know that the thought is someone can come in and compete with Shador. I don't think they take that. Week 1, or night 1, I don't think there's a quarterback worthy of that. They have a decent wide receiver room, but there are always questions at Jerry Jeudy. Give someone that can kind of grow and learn the new system alongside Shador, even with injury questions. If he doesn't start right away, that's okay.
Yeah. All right. Chicago at 25. I have no idea what to do for them. Their needs just don't match up very well. You know what? I said I'm not a huge fan of taking injury risks in the first round. But this team right now, with the needs they have, it just doesn't fit this part of the draft with what's on the board. I think they'd be willing to take a flyer on, in my opinion, the best player still available, and possibly a top. If he's healthy, he's a top 10 pick, in my opinion. So I think Chicago would be willing to take that chance. Their secondary's good, but if you hit and he does pan out and he's a top 10 pick or top 10 player, you look like geniuses getting this kind of steal on someone that's this good. I think they'd be willing to do it just looking at what their needs are. And that at this point in the draft, there's not a ton to help them in that way.
Fair. Okay. Buffalo Bills at 26. Let's see. Defensive line and linebacker. I think they're going to go Allen.
That would make sense.
Kind of the weakest point on that defense is their run game. Kind of shore that up with a linebacker from Georgia. You have the physicality. Get used to him playing in the cold, and you kind of shore up the center of that D line, and I think that's what they need.
Yeah, I think that makes a ton of sense for them. I get to pick for the 49ers?
You do.
All right, who's the worst player available?
Brennan's like, actually, they didn't get a pick. They ran out of time.
Yeah, shucks. Um, in all seriousness, um, I could see them going Parker. I could see them going Ianachor, I think is how you say that. Ooh, hmm. You know, I'm stuck. They took edge last year, but they could use some real pass rush.
Yeah,
On the other side, Trent Williams is not going to be on this team for much longer, and they
that's
could
fair.
and Matt, I'm not going to try to say his last name. I can't say it.
Fair.
Max is much more of a project at offensive tackle. Like he has a really cool story. He only started playing football like senior year of high school.
Oh, damn.
So for him to already be kind of worth a first round pick does tell you a lot. I'm gonna do it. I think they really need
Uh-huh.
to focus on that offensive line. I think you saw it with how much the Seahawks manhandled them up front
Yeah,
in the playoffs. I think you got to get better at the offensive line. You have to have a plan for when Trent Williams is done. And I think this right here, put him behind Trent Williams. Either you can play him at a guard position if it works, or you just have him sit and learn behind one of the single best to ever play the position. And for a guy that's, I want to say like 21 or 20, like he's not going to be old coming into um 22. So a
gotcha.
young
Yeah,
developmental tackle.
fair. Alrighty, at 28, the Texans.
Hmm.
I think they go there.
Go who?
Pregnan.
I could see that. That would make some
They need
sense.
O-line help.
Yeah.
Even if it's someone that you have to kind of develop throughout the season. Um, you're really going to put your coaching staff to test, but as much as they might need running back help or defensive line help, a lot of it gets better if the defense can stay off the field and if a running back later in the draft has a better O-line to run behind. They have to figure out that O-line. So I think they take line at this position no matter
Yeah.
what.
That would make some sense. Kansas City at 29. Who did we have them take earlier? Edge.
Edge.
Man, he would be really good for them. Mm, I'm stuck. I'm between two. I
Okay.
think Terrell would be a really good fit, and they did lose a couple of their corners.
Fair.
But man, Patrick Mahomes with Denzel Boston would be pretty fun. What do I think they could prioritize later? See, both of these positions are very deep in the draft, though. That's the problem.
I don't think they go wide receiver right now. You think the hope like
You
you're
know,
hoping you're gonna have Rice for all of next season. You have Worthy in season 2.
you know what? They don't go Terrell. They go with Chris Johnson.
Okay.
He's so good. And the reason I say this, he's a younger player, and he has, in my opinion, one of the cleanest just profiles you could ask for. Great character, great in the locker room, and his tape is nothing flashy. Like there's not anything like, oh my god, but there's also nothing that's so detrimental. He is so polished that I think at 29 the Chiefs sit there and go, just especially in Spagnuolo's defense, this guy
That's fair.
could be pretty solid.
Alrighty. At 30, the Dolphins. Who did we take?
Corner Mansour
Okay.
Delane.
This I think is where Boston goes.
That makes sense.
Uh, he kind of fits kind of the newer trend of offenses. He's fast, but you don't sacrifice fast for physicality the way the Dolphins have in the past. They desperately need offensive weapons.
Yeah.
I think this is a good fit. He's young. He's someone that if Ewing is the quarterback moving forward, he can grow with him. Or whoever they bring in, there are options. But they need a weapon, and Boston is the best one currently on the board.
Yeah. All right. I get the next two picks.
We
First
do
of which
to
is
finish out our
the
draft.
Patriots, who could use something positive right now.
I mean, you can tell he's from the Belichick coaching tree because 2 years in, we already have a scandal.
Yeah, no, that's yeah. Oh man, who do they go with? I think they go trenches. I think they go defensive trenches. All right. I don't think they go Howell. I just don't think he's their type. He's got his arms are way short,
Okay.
and it's a problem. Parker is possible. Banks, if it wasn't for the foot injury, would make so much sense. Fuck. This one's tough. I don't really like any player here for them.
That's fair.
Maybe they go that route. Man, it is rough out here for the Patriots. I think I'm going to go Parker.
Okay.
I am. I'm going to go TJ Parker out of Clemson. I think he's the best edge rusher available at this point, and we kind of saw in the Super Bowl and late in that season where they just could not get much pressure from their edge. So I think if you can get a young, developmental, really solid edge rusher in, they can kind of help right away. That would be an option, and I think that makes the most sense for them at least.
I think it's a solid choice.
All right. And now the Seahawks at pick 32 to round out the draft. Terrell's tempting. I just don't love the injury stuff. I don't. And I stick to my guns. If you have, and I know it's worked out for Seattle, like JSN came into the league with a hamstring injury, and look at him now. I don't like taking players with injury concerns, but I really like Terrell. Banks, if it wasn't for an injury concern, I like him too. And everybody else I like at this point is gone. Price, I don't think he's a first. Like, he's good. He's really good. I don't think he's a first round player. The guards have been pretty cleaned out. What about edge? What does the edge look like? I think you can get some of these guys later. Man, it's tough to sit here and not think they trade out of this pick.
Oh, 100%.
Especially the way the board fell. Like, if they're okay with Terrell's medicals, they go Terrell. If they're okay with Banks' medicals, they could go Banks. I don't have that information, and I don't like taking injured players. I'm gonna go Colton Hood. They need another corner. He's really good. He's a solid corner. I think it makes sense. I think Colton Hood is the last pick for the Seahawks.
Fair enough.
So yeah, that is our first round mock draft. A little different than what you're seeing in terms of national, but that is kind of the point. Trying to keep it.
We come with our own insights, our own versions. We are not experts by any stretch of the imagination. It's just kind of a what do we think we would do. But if you are more focused on how wrong we're going to be, tune in next week and watch us react to the draft live.
Pretty much, because you'll find out pretty quick.
Yeah.
And we'll kind of try to keep track of what happens and whether we're right or wrong. We'll try to keep a tally. I tend to like that.
Yeah.
We'll kind of see. Should be exciting. I assume we'll get at least a couple right.
I think we'll get a few.
But we'll see. I think not doing any trades is tough because there's always trades.
Yeah, there's always
and
trades.
I think if we were going to do trades, the teams I would have had trading would have been probably Arizona, probably Miami on the 11th pick, probably Chicago, and then I think Seattle or like would trade back.
Trades out.
But
that's fair.
Yeah. It's tough to do trades when like the value just is kind of tough. So
very fair.
But yeah.
All right. Well, that does do it for our mock draft. And again, next week, tune in and see how we did and what our kind of assumption or theory looks like compared to what actually happens.
Yeah.
Before we move on to other sports, I realized there was one thing I didn't talk about, but I do want to address quickly. Pass rushers that have never sacked my quarterback do not get to talk about how easy it is to do or not. So that's why we didn't discuss it. So with that being said, we will move on to any other news, any other sports going on that you want to talk about.
Yeah, I got one this week. I watched the men's hockey NCAA Frozen Four. Watched the 2 semifinals and then the final. In the semifinals, it was Wisconsin, North Dakota. Wisconsin won 2-1. It was a pretty good game. A lot of back and forth. Wisconsin's a really good program. And the other one was DU, Denver versus Michigan. DU won 4-3 in overtime, in double overtime, actually. That was a very, very good game. Very physical, very intense, which for college hockey is not something you say a ton. These guys tend to not get into the physicality as much just because of where they are in their stage in their career. It just kind of is what it is.
Yeah.
But two really good games in the semifinals, and then the final was another really, really good game between Denver and Wisconsin. Denver gets the win 2-1. So Denver, I believe, wins their 13th national championship, and I know it's their third one in 6 years. So really good program for the DU Pioneers. It was a great win. They came back in the second period, and they deserved it. Their goaltending was fantastic. Um, just a great program that is one of those that this year they were very close to not making the tournament at all. But they kind of snuck in at the end, and they're a team that if you give them a chance, they will take it, and they did. So, really cool there.
Nice. Well, congratulations to them. Happy for Denver to get a win, and hopefully the Avs can follow in their footsteps.
Yeah.
But congratulations to all of them. Alrighty. Well, the only other sport I had was women's rugby. Six Nations started this Saturday. Apologies that we did not talk the men's while that was going on. I had my dates a little messed up, and then we kind of weren't around and had some other things going on. So just a recap, really, France did win for the men's side.
Wow. What a shock. I'm floored. Completely floored.
As for the women's, there's started this Saturday with round one being France versus Italy. France, unsurprisingly, got away with a dominating win at 40-7. That was hard to watch, and that was like a really early game. Next was England versus Ireland. Once again, unsurprisingly, England gets the win 33-12. And then the most exciting one of the day was Wales versus Scotland, with Scotland getting the win 24-7. I'm sorry, 19. So a really close match. Wales started really strong. They even had the lead at one point, but unfortunately kind of ran out of gas, and Scotland ran away with it. So, as always, a great couple of weeks as they go through their annual tournament. If I had to put money on it, I would say England will probably win. In the women's, that's usually the outcome. But we will keep an eye on it and see how the tournament continues to go.
Yeah. I can confirm I will probably not be watching it. Not because I don't care. It's because it happens at way too early in the morning.
Yes. If you have certain subscriptions, you can rewatch them. That is beneficial.
Okay, that is noted.
It is on Peacock, and they do.
Maybe I'll watch some.
It's on Peacock this year instead of Paramount.
I'll watch highlights because I don't mind rugby. Rugby's a fun sport. It's just I am not waking up.
It can be hard to watch
sometimes.
The entire thing.
But yeah, I'm not getting up that early to watch rugby.
No, that's fair.
It's not that much of my favorite. Not that.
I struggle to get up at 6 for football. It's so that's fair.
But yeah, no, cool. Actually got some random sports in today. It's always fun when we get something new. So that's always nice. But I think that does it for us this week. Unless you had anything else.
I did not.
All right. Well, since that does it for us this week, make sure to like, subscribe, comment. Let us know what you thought of our mock draft. Let us know if there's anything you would have done differently. You can give it a grade. I don't really care. Whether you grade it badly or good, grades don't mean anything to me for the draft until they play a down of football. I'm going to be honest with you.
Fair enough.
That's just, I don't care. But you can grade it. You can let us know what you would have done differently, what you liked, what you didn't. How did we do for your team? It is sometimes tough to draft for other teams because we just don't know their rosters as intimately as we know our own. So we're gonna kind of struggle there sometimes. So let us know. Let us know if we kind of screwed up your team. Be interested to hear that. Um, but yeah. So with all that being said, this has been Floxnet Sports Podcast. I've been Brendan.
And I've been Dallas.
Thank you.